newsletter with contact information. I'll distribute that to everyone. But for the time being, maybe just introduce yourself and your company and kind of what your one passionate thing about organics that you have, and make it kind of brief, and let's just go around. And I'm going to go on my screen. So, and Clinton, why don't you start out? And Clinton, by the way, I'm the chairman, and Clinton's the co-chairman of this. And what that means, we're just going to hopefully be able to work together and work all as a group and organize everyone to achieve some concrete goals, which we'll talk about later. But Clinton, could you start us out?
Yeah, absolutely. So Clinton Combs, I'm born and raised right here in Las Vegas, Nevada. My dad had the RC Farms here in North Las Vegas for over 53 years, in which he fed food scraps from the Las Vegas hotels and casinos. He retired about 14 years ago now. So my brother and I started a new operation, which is now located up in Apex Valley, just about 12 miles north of Las Vegas. And we are now collecting food scraps from the casinos and food operators. It's been very challenging, especially the last year and a half with COVID. When the hotel shut down, our feed source stopped, so we really had to cut way back on our inventory of animals. But now, as things are starting to pick up slowly, the hotels are kind of slow to pick back up on the services we provide. But we are slowly building back up, and we hope to provide our services to all the hotel casinos, and we want to promote it as much as we can. Prior to COVID, we had about 4,000 animals that we were feeding, and we're currently about half of that. We're about 2,000.
Okay.
Now, so.
Thanks, Clinton, and that's a great thing I think that this group has, is people, and everyone will introduce themselves as we go along, but we have people in this group that actually do this for a living and successfully know how to manage, start, and operate organics management programs. So I think that is pretty dang cool.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Todd Welty.
Todd Welty at the Reno Tahoe Airport Authority. I manage all the environmental programs here, and I'm passionate about all of our sustainable programs we have here at the airport, and looking to expand upon those, in particular with respect to dealing with organics and the management of those generated here at the airport, Reno Tahoe International. Thank you.
What do you do with your organics right now?
We have essentially no program that manages organics at this time.
You need one.
I know. That's why
we can help you.
Thank you. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Outstanding, Todd. How about Jessica?
Jessica is with NDEP. Her microphone is not working, but she is one of the support staff that we have here who's recording and managing all of the different sounds coming out of your microphones.
That is important. Can you make me sing better, Jessica? That's the thing. That's the thing. But, well, Kayla, and could you introduce yourself also? I know most of the people know you, but if you could introduce yourself quickly, that'd be great.
Yes, so my name is Kayla Alm. I'm with the Nevada Division of Environmental Protection. Myself, Darren, and Bree held the first Partners for a Sustainable Nevada meeting, back in August. So we're here to help support the chair and co-chairs for all of these different working groups, and we are very excited to see so much interest from all of the different stakeholders within this group.
Thanks, Kayla. You're a big help. A big help. And Darren, how are you doing, Darren?
Sorry about that, trying to get my camera and everything to work. Doing great, thank you. I just appreciate everybody being on the call, and everybody committing their time and resources to this particular working group. We've come a long ways in the last couple of years, and I think this is a really fantastic path forward, and looking forward to your group and what we can kind of move the needle, I guess, so to speak, in the state. And again, thanks for all your time. I appreciate it.
Thank- I think you're still on mute, Brianna.
Oh, sorry, everybody cut out for me for a second.
No, me too. Sorry about that.
No, no worries. Yeah, I'm with Kayla and Darren, the NDP staff, so I'm just here to support in whatever way I can. And I'm also helping out with the other working groups as well.
Great. Thanks, Brianna. And then how about Jennifer?
Great. Can you hear me?
Yes. I
Okay,
can.
great. I'm an associate professor at Nevada State College, which is not the College of Southern Nevada. So we're a 4-year institution with similar abbreviations in our acronym. But and I'm an environmental scientist. I'm part of our environmental and resource science program at Nevada State. We've had a farm on campus. It was not a farm, it's a garden on campus for quite a while, and we already compost, but it's very grassroots, kind of dependent on the kindness of certain individuals to do it. And so we would love to move the concept of organics management into our administration and make it much more visible on campus, because if you educate those students, they'll then take that knowledge out into the community. So we obviously have a strong education and outreach component to all this, but we also just want to do that better at our institution as well.
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. And I think that's important also as we look on a statewide basis, at UNLV and UNR and the state prisons and other sort of facilities, how you have at least the start of a good working program there, and how we can work on expanding that to these other institutions. So that is great, Jennifer. And then next on my list, I have Tina Mudd with Granite Construction.
Folks, sorry my camera's off because I'm out in the field, so I'll be listening in. So I'm super interested just because I think that this is a really important element of what we do from a industry perspective. And Granite Construction actually is one of the largest recyclers in the state because we recycle asphalt and concrete ag base. But I do see a lot of other materials that are ripe for reuse and composting, and from my professional point of view. And then also on the private side of my life, I'm really involved in the agriculture community, and I just see a lot of opportunities there. And I just want to get more up to speed and well-versed, and I'm using you folks to do that. So I'm glad to be part of you guys.
That is cool, Tina. Thank you very much. Cody Witt.
All right, Cody Witt. I'm owner and operator of Full Circle Compost in Carson City. We're Nevada's longest running compost site. I'm also representing Terra Firma Organics in Vegas, who's the largest compost company in Vegas. We also have a site in Jackson, Wyoming. We process 150,000 tons of organics a year. We do the university, multiple municipalities. We do food waste, forestry residuals, yard waste, green waste, everything, make it into awesome soils, composts, and mulches. Worked with many people. I've actually, Tina, we recycle stuff from Granite, if it comes this way, if you didn't know. Do stuff with Donna. Yeah, it's really cool. We've been pushing the envelope as the first compost site in the state. We actually wrote the permit before composting was even a thing. And then we've been working with NDEP for the last 25 years, and we're in the middle of a 5-year expansion. We've tripled the size of the site in Carson City. We operate at the Northern Nevada Correctional Center. We do a bunch of different cool stuff, and we have a lot of expertise in the area. And we're just really happy to be involved and try to offer any guidance that we can, because we are looking for the expansion of organics diversion, but in the most thoughtful and efficient way forward. So that's what we're doing.
No, thanks. So, Cody, what's the major, if you don't mind telling us, what's the major impediment do you see to really expanding the composting in the state of Nevada? I mean, if you had your Christmas wish, would you say, you know, everyone gets a third trash can out there and sends all their green and food waste to you, or what's legislation, or what? Again, what would make you happy, Cody? That's what we're all about, is making you happy.
30-second answer. There's 3 parts. It's regulation. It's pricing. People don't realize how expensive it is to do what we do. We run a lot of big machinery, and it's really pricey, and we do not make any money. So it's a labor of love. So it's regulation, pricing, and then education. Contamination in the composting industry is massive. And to make high quality, well, and then the 4th one is to make highly quality product in Nevada. People don't use compost. In California, it's mandated. They use it on Caltrans, agriculture, everywhere. People buy it all the time. Where here in Nevada, compost as a market isn't huge. For Full Circle, we've been building it. But so regulation, the cost to actually do composting, education to the consumers for contamination, and then the end use of compost in the actual marketplace are the 4 big.
You're
Cool.
speaking to me, Cody. It's the regulation that's killing me. It's killing all our opportunities.
Yeah, but then regulation with the right pricing, because the California, that's what I can offer is we do 80% of my materials actually come from California. So we know what California is doing, and they're doing many wonderful things, but they're also doing a lot of things wrong because they're actually beating up their own industry. So I can help the group understand some of those issues that we're seeing, especially in Northern Nevada. Vegas is a little bit tricky. I'm just representing on behalf of them. I don't know Vegas, but I know Northern. I'm 5th generation, and I'm about to have my 6th generation kiddo here in like.
Congratulations,
Oh,
Cody.
congratulations.
That's cool.
So, yep.
Nope, that is great. And that's what's going to be the great thing about this group, is just the industry experience. I think is really going to be helpful. Donna Walden, can you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Cody, congratulations. That's really exciting. I'm Donna Walden. I run a nonprofit called Green Up that provides environmental education for businesses. And Green Up runs the statewide Green Business Network and program along with a lot of partners. And Green Up also launched the Green Dining District on Carson Street in Carson City. We were able to collect food waste from pig farmers. We had 2 separate pig farmers that started and then stopped. And then COVID kind of stopped us somewhat. So I'm always looking for solutions to food waste, and that's why I'm interested in this group. Interested in my own concern, but on a broader statewide concern, what can we do in terms of organics management?
Thanks, Donna. Appreciate that. And Donna and I, you guys need to keep your fingers crossed. Donna and I are putting together a US EPA grant application as we speak to look at anaerobic digester technology related to food waste diversion. And anyway, keep your fingers crossed. I know we're going to do a great. That's right. That is right, Donna. And then I have a phone number that ends in 6728.
David Gill with Environmental Logistics. I'm not able to, but we're a company that's been in business for about 30 years. We do everything from emergency responses. You guys probably saw the big oil spill that's out in Southern Cal. We actually have meetings on that right now. You know, from recycling to a bunch of different things. But really, you just hit the nail on the head of what I'm really on this call for from an organics management. I'm looking at a circular economy facility I want to put in Vegas. We have a water treatment plant in Northern Cal and a barge in Southern Cal, and we have properties and locations in Texas, Missouri, and Kansas. So, you know, Vegas is a market we want to grow on. And one of the pieces we're looking at, you know, you talk about anaerobic digestion, but for me, it's looking at really from the organics, looking at it in a different way than we have in the past historically, looking at waste, that it's not just waste anymore, that there's actually zero landfill we could do. And then in addition to that, what are some of the additional energy sources we could create from it? So that's kind of my passion on this call, and that's what I'm looking for.
No, that's great. You know, I know just reviewing real quick, results of the survey, I think we're all pretty focused on, number one, composting. I think everyone out there really sees composting as something that's, being done on a certain basis, something that we certainly want to expand throughout the state, seeing how we can do that. But, a distant second is also looking at renewable energy and other things as far as, whether we're talking about anaerobic digestion or something like that. And just introduce myself, I'm Dean Stanfield with Universal Engineering. And my background is designing and permitting composting facilities and anaerobic digesters in California. Even though I've always lived in Reno, I work for a company that was very strong in that space. So, as you guys spoke with regards to regulation, I think that whatever you think of it, the regulation in California mandating diversion of all the organic and food waste out of the landfills, if nothing else, it got everyone's attention. As I think one of you said, it can certainly be done better. But sometimes a little regulation is what you need, I think, to get things started, in the right direction. And I think with all your guys' help, especially those in the industry, knowing how to do that correct. And the nice thing about this is it's not just us working on it. As you know, there's 6 other groups through NDEP. Is that the right number, Kayla? But anyway,
Yes.
and I know that how many? 10?
No, 6 total. Yes,
Oh, okay.
so there were originally 7 in the first meeting that we did, but we narrowed it down to 6 total working groups.
Good. But we're also, when we talk about education, we have an education group. When we talk about legislation, we have a legislation group. So the great thing is that we have other professionals and people in the industry that are focusing specifically on things that are important to us. And I guess we'll figure out how to feed things back and forth, Kayla, as we go on, or how we make sure that the legislative group knows, what's important to us and what we need to make everyone happy. So I wanted to give Clinton Combs, and I apologize, Clinton and I, because of work schedules, did not have a lot of time to review and prepare, an exhaustive agenda or anything like that for this first meeting. I just wanted to give Clinton a little bit of time if there's something that you wanted to discuss, Clinton, and then after that, I was going to go into how we were going to go about setting our goals and looking at. I think the big thing for us, frankly, is I want to establish something that we can achieve so that we can have an early success. The big thing when I discuss with Kayla and Darren about, this group specifically, is that we want to establish specific goals and we want to achieve them. I know that everyone's been on these kind of groups and task forces or whatever you want to call them that go on and on and on and on, and you're meeting for like 3 years and you achieve nothing. And we absolutely do not want that. So, with everyone's help, we're going to set up some, specific goals, such as green waste diversion from Reno Tahoe International Airport would be a good one maybe that we could start with. But we're going to set up some specific goals, and then we're going to achieve them and kind of go from there. But Clinton, between that, is there anything that you would like to add?
No, I just heard a lot of good comments from the other people in the committee here. And I guess we ought to at least follow the hierarchy that the EPA has set out. I think everybody's kind of familiar with the food scrap hierarchy. If you're not familiar with it, you can just type it into Google and it pulls it up. But to me, that seems to be a really good map, I should say. It basically says, that food scraps should be reduced at the source. Second, it should be fed to hungry people. Third, to feed animals. Fourth, for industrial uses. Fifth, composting. Then finally, landfill. So I think in communities that have the resources of a food scrap feeding operation, that should be very much promoted. And also composting. I mean, fortunately, we do have a composter here. Full Circle mentioned that they're helping with Terra Firma, and we do work with Terra Firma as well. With we use some of their bedding for our livestock, for instance, and then we also take some of the product that we get from the hotels to Terra Firma. So there's a good relationship already going there. And I also agree with the legislation providing legislation to get these things started, because right now everything's just voluntary. People, especially the businesses, they find it hard to voluntarily do something if it's going to cost them. So if we can promote them through legislation, or maybe even some sort of recognition program where they get public recognition for doing the right thing, I think that would go a long way. So those are some quick thoughts I had.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Clinton. You know, I think as you said, you know, you're already working with Full Circle Composting and their subsidiaries, and I think we're really going to be relying on you and Jennifer to really help us, you know, move forward in many of these things. Or Cody Witt with Full Circle. So I call my kids. So I got 2 grandkids, 3 kids. I call them like random names, so I want to apologize up front so if I call you some wrong name, it's not, it's really not intentional, and I apologize for that. But what I would like to do is send out an email perhaps to each and every one of you, kind of summarizing the survey results. And I would like each of you to pick one, you know, low-hanging fruit, if you will, on something that we can, you know, readily achieve quickly. I know you've all given some great feedback already, but just wanting to setting up those concrete goals and what we can, you know, achieve immediately. And then Clinton and I can, you know, go over those, and maybe the next meeting. And Kayla, what a month typically these meetings are being held, or what's recommended?
I would say at maximum. So don't forget that we're going to be creating as a group a section for the menu of options that really identifies the problems throughout Nevada that are currently happening, and then just laying out different solutions. Again, not, you know, you may not agree with all the solutions identified. They're not endorsements, but just saying what is available and out there. So that way municipalities can have the options to really decide what's best for them. So you can see, you know, how the 3-4, every 3-4 week timeline works for you guys. Just keeping that in mind of, you know, we want that completed by the end of March of next year.
March of next year. People are going to be sick of Clinton and I by then. So hopefully that is just another motivation, Clinton, to get this thing wrapped up, you know, get this thing wrapped up. So again, I will, you know, I'd kind of like to have these meetings about a half hour. I don't know, Kayla, is that okay? I mean, a half hour seems good to me, unless there's something that everyone, I don't know what the other groups are doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're looking to average about half hour to an hour in length. You know, we don't want to extend too long because it's a lot and you have other things to get back to. I think that one way we can help keep these meetings more concise is to really bolster the surveys. And that way we have a lot of content to then discuss. So if that sounds good for the group, that's certainly one way that we can move forward.
No, that's great. You know, and I think the one thing, like I say, everyone that responded to the survey, I think composting really came out as far and away the number one, you know, kind of low-hanging fruit, if you will, that we can readily achieve in Nevada to help have the biggest impact with regards to, you know, organics diversion, greenhouse gas reduction, things like that. So I think in that respect, I think it's going to be fairly easy for us just to really be, you know, focused and, you know, being able to achieve some things that way. Yep. So with that, what I would like to do is you all will be receiving another survey, another meeting invitation. We'll put together and I'll circulate to all of you what our preliminary, you know, goals moving forward are. Clinton and I will go through those. identify those, something concrete, such as, and I don't mean to pick on Todd all the time, but specifically something such as, for example, an organics diversion program at the Reno Tahoe International Airport. But, looking at it as more broadly, as some specific things that we might be able, again, to achieve to start moving this thing forward. And all that'll be in your survey and your email and other things that we will be sending you, if that's okay with everybody.
And Dean, if I could make a comment, I think Tina brought it up, this Cody full circle. If we could maybe outline everybody in different jurisdictions, already existing programs, just because some people might not even know what's already existing. And so I think that that's a big part of it, is what the existing programs are, and then specifically to composting, because it usually moves down that way, is the types of materials that people want to focus on. Because even though composting seems like a low-hanging fruit, then once you get into the types of materials for focus, like Clinton said, food waste is one of them. And if you go through a food waste hierarchy, there's a completely different way to generate and look at food waste. And for processing, when you look at anaerobic digestion, composting, feeding it to animals, but then you move into the huge plethora of forestry materials because of the fires, you move into green waste and yard waste. And I think defining these organics is a very big place to start, because the word organics is everything, but you've got food waste, forestry, green waste, yard waste. What do people call everything? Commingled materials, non-commingled. So we really need to start honing in definitions, because I think even if there is a regulatory push, anything like that, what are we going to call certain things? And then if we do already know the regulations for certain items that potentially could need to be altered or changed, or what doesn't even exist, then we can really get in a focus. So like here in Northern Nevada, the entire city of Carson already has a yard waste program. The Incline Village, South Lake Tahoe has yard waste. Truckee and, well, they're not Nevada, but Truckee and South Lake Tahoe have food waste programs. Walmarts are picked up for food waste. Like the airport, it can come here. We just have to get it here. How do you get it here? So do we want to focus on food waste? Do we want to focus on yard waste? What do you want to focus on in organics, and then start going from there? So that's just the two kind of points for me to kind of hone it in, because if not, then we can get really big really quick.
No, but and I worked a little bit of that facility over for Zanker over in San Jose, and you're absolutely right. By not educating the public or not defining what sort of organic waste they were going to take, everything was so contaminated that it pretty well ruined the entire project and gave a bad taste to everybody with regards to organic diversion. We also worked with CR&R down in Southern California on their anaerobic digestion, and because they were able to control the material coming in, making sure it was clean, wasn't overly contaminated, they just have a hugely successful program. So you're absolutely right, Cody. Those sorts of things are vitally important, because the worst thing we want to do is have something that's not successful right out the start, and everyone says, who needs organics diversion? That's just a bunch of hippy dippies making stuff up and making us do something for nothing, and we certainly don't want that.
Well, and I don't see them on this call, but I was assuming that the waste haulers would be on the call. But just in Northern Nevada, and I'm assuming in Vegas, it's extremely tied to their current agreements. So, I mean, what I would really suggest is that if this group, the EPA, gets involved and tells them to come on in, because no matter what we decide, there's going to be certain things that, have to move forward between strategic partnerships. And that's very, very important for this all to work perfectly, because no matter how good we all think we are, really when it comes down to it is consistent movement of waste out of here. And if you don't have the person to consistently move it, then you run into problems. And then you need the consistent people to take it, be it feeding it to animals, composters, waste digestion, whatever you want. You need the facilities, the people to get it there. And that's going to be the biggest, those two hurdles of after you define the material you want to focus on, how do you get it to the place and where does it go? And then the big one for me is just where does it go after that? Just like 6728 said, I can't remember your name. that the circular economy is extremely important for these long-term programs. And if we do not have, like at a compost facility, if you create a compost landfill, like many California sites I have seen, you end up building up so much material that you can't get rid of, that you end up going out of business, or you just stop running because you lose your permit. So it's very important that we get rid of the material, and we're making something that's beneficial for Nevada. We're not just trying to pump and dump garbage back into the system.
No, that is very important. I mean, there's a lot of pieces, because those boxes of food waste sitting outside the roll-up doors for a couple of days is bad. I can tell you that does not help anything.
Especially in the summer.
No. But guys, I just sure appreciate all your time, and be looking for in your email for additional surveys and information. I'll try to get everyone's bio and contact information out to everyone, unless if you don't want it shared with everyone, let me know. But I'll share that with everyone, and get a little bio on what folks are up to. And with that, I just appreciate all of your time.
Thank you,
And I'll
Dean.
reach out to you separately, Clinton, and maybe we can get together
Yeah.
beforehand next time.
Yes. Absolutely. Please.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank
Take
you.
care now.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Let me see. How do I leave the call?